take 100% responsibility for everything you are, everything you do, everything you will ever be. Do not make excuses. Do not blame anything on anyone. Hey, welcome back. It's Rob, and we are diving into Chapter 3 of the 21 Success Secrets of Self-Made Millionaires. This chapter is called See Yourself as Self-Employed. And this is one of the big tenets of Brian Tracy's teachings. And he covers this in depth in a book called No Excuses, which I have referred to already in this video series. If you want to pick up that book, go ahead and do so, because at some point we're going to cover it in this on this channel. All right. So No Excuses is a book that changed my life. This is a microcosm of that, what he talks about in this chapter here of this book, The 21 Success Secrets of Self-Made Millionaires. Now, the first thing that he talks about is taking 100% responsibility for everything that happens in your life. All right. That may be hard for some of us to do, I understand, but it is life-changing when you do it. And there's another man who wrote another wonderful book. His name's Darren Hardy, and that book is called The Compound Effect. We'll probably dig into that one at some point too on this channel. And he basically says the same thing. No excuses. Take responsibility for everything. Relationships are 50-50, 50% you, 50%. No, they're 100% on you. All right. And if your partner sees it that way as well, then you actually have a natural synergistic 50-50 because each of you is taking full responsibility. Does that make sense? So take 100% responsibility for everything you are, everything you do, everything you will ever be. Do not make excuses. Do not blame anything on anyone. When you catch yourself doing these things, because I understand it's completely human nature to do so, it took me a long time to get out of that habit myself, and I still sometimes fall back into this old pattern because we're people, we're human beings, and most of us were raised in a way that, maybe we were exposed to a lot of excuses about things, right? Like from our parents or relatives or brothers, sisters, whoever. You get into the workplace and you get into the workforce when you're a younger person, maybe you're even there now and you're in your 20s, you hear a lot of excuse making, even from your bosses. So knock all that off, all right? It doesn't do you any good. It doesn't help anything. You don't change your situation by blaming things on other people or by making excuses for why you couldn't get this, that, or the other done. Results speak. We talked about that in the first book that I did on this channel, which is the baseball book, Heads Up Baseball. Results speak. That's something that I say a lot in my life. Results speak, so take responsibility for the results that you create because you are creating them. All right? Do not blame other people for that. All right, so that is the first part of this see yourself as self-employed thing. Now, what does this mean? How does this relate? Well, when you see yourself as self-employed, then you don't put your the responsibility for your results on anyone else, right? You're self-employed. See yourself that way and act that way. Be proactive. Be a self-starter. Be a person who is committed to making sure that you are doing everything in your power to get the result that you want, because that result is important to you. It may be important to other people as well. There may be people depending on you. Whatever the case may be, that result is important to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be going for it. You wouldn't be pursuing it. So take responsibility for that and be proactive and be a self-starter and do everything you can to make that result happen, regardless of any circumstances from the outside. Regardless of what your boss thinks, what your coworker thinks, who tries to bother you, who tries to derail you, right? Okay, and there's people out there who do that, right? There are people who, let's say they have or try to have a negative influence on you, right? There are quote unquote toxic people, right, that we run across in our lives, okay? You can label them toxic if you want. You can label them whatever you want. I don't label them at all. I forget about them. And I see myself as self-employed. This was a huge lesson for me when I studied this book. Now, here's the action step, okay? The action step is, and Brian Tracy asks this question in the book, if you were president for a day in your company, completely responsible for all the results, what one change would you make happen immediately? What is the change that you think needs to happen to catapult your company to higher levels of success than it's ever seen? Whatever that is, write it down, make a plan, and start taking action on that plan immediately. And you will surprise yourself, you will surprise your boss, and you will move into the upper echelon, the top 1% or 3% or 5% or whatever number you want to put on it, but the most excellent performers in your company, because you will be taking a proactive measure to improve results for the entire company. And that's great advice from Brian Tracy, and I'm passing it on to you. Again, if you don't have the book, you can get the book through the link down below. Get it on Audible. Start your free Audible trial. I've got a link for that as well. Make sure if you are getting value out of this series, like this video, subscribe so you don't miss one, and put comments, please. I love comments. Comment how you're putting these things to work in your life, all right? What kinds of actions are you taking based on these videos and based on what you're learning and based on the book, if you own it? And again, if you don't, go get it, all right? I will see you next in Chapter 4. Stay tuned. There's lots more to come.
I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.